I was right. Sorry. Sorry. So, hello, Internet. It's time to read the Bible. Anyway, I was right. I looked it up on the internet. Who is Jedi? Nobody frickin' knows. The prevailing theory is that Jedi was a concubine of Caleb, but because the text is unclear, nobody knows. So that person just plopped out of nowhere and it bothered because with the like meter or whatever, it made me think it was a descendant. And some people are like, well, maybe it's a descendant of Caleb that the ancestry got messed up in and we don't know anymore. So it's one of the two as far as we know. Either it's a descendant of Caleb or it's a concubine of Caleb. Um, so I feel slightly vindicated because I went on such a tangent last episode, it was a warranted tangent. I thought I was going nuts, but no, it was real. Shaddai is real. He's from Coruscant. He's from space, or she. She's a she's she's Ray Palpatine come from space. The corruptible. No, no, no. Okay. Enough ranting. Focus. Okay, we're going to do July 7th reading now. We're still in the lists, but I think we're about uh there's some story mixed in here, but it seems to be mostly lists still. So we'll do another kind of easy accent. Um, I haven't done the South African accent in a while. We'll do that one. So, First Chronicles chapter 4, verse 5 to chapter 5, verse 17. Ashur, the father of Tekoa, had two wives, Hela and Naara. Naara bore him Ahuzam, Hefer, Temini, and Ha-Ashantari. And Hela bore him Zereth, Ishzah, and Ithna. Koz was the father of Anub and Zoba. He was also the ancestor of the clan named after Aharahel, son of Harun. Jabez was more distinguished than any of his brothers. His mother named him Jabez because she had such a hard time at his birth. Jabez means distress. Koz is another mystery person just plopped in the story, it seems. I'm not going to go on a tangent this time, though. I just wanted to point that out. Moving on. Jabez. He was the one who prayed to the God of Israel. Oh, that you would wonderfully bless me and help me in my work. Please be with me in all that I do and keep me from all evil and disaster. And God granted him his request. I don't know if you remember, but the Prayer of Jabez was a very popular book a few years ago. I think maybe 15 years ago. My mother had a copy as well. I never read the prayer book, uh, but it interesting that even a tiny verse, this is a single verse in a book in the middle of the Old Testament, and it helped edify thousands of people. Is that not amazing and encouraging? Anyway, we move on from Jabez. The descendants of Rekah were Chelub, the brother of Shula, whose son was Mahir, the father of Eshtan. Eshtan was the father of Beth Rapha, Paseah, and Tahina. Tahina was the father of Nahash. The sons of Kenaz were Othniel and Sariah. Othniel's sons were Hathath and Meonothai. Meonothai was the father of Ophrah. Sariah was the father of Joab, the ancestor of the inhabitants of Craftsman Valley, called that because many craftsmen lived there. The sons of Caleb, the sons of Jephunneh, uh, Iru, Elah, Naam, the sons of Elah included Kenaz, uh, that's okay. Jehalal's sons were Ziph, Ziphah, Tiriah, Asarel. Ezra's sons were Jetha, Mered, Epher, and Jalon. Mered married Bithiah, an Egyptian princess, and Ishba, an ancestor of Eshtemoa. Oh, I skipped. So married Bithiah, an Egyptian princess. She was the mother of Miriam, Shammai, and Ishba, an ancestor of Eshtemoa. Eshtemoa's wife was a Jewish. She was the mother of Jared, Heber, and Jekuthiel, who were, respectively, the ancestors of the Jedorites, the Soskoites, and Zanoites. Hodiah's wife was the sister of Naham. One of her sons was the father of Keliah the Garmite, and another was the father of Eshtemoa the Maakathite. The sons of Shimon, Amnon, Urina, Ben-Hanan, Tilon. The sons of Ishi, Zoheth, Ben Zoheth. The sons of Shelah, the son of Judah. They need to use conjugations in these lists. It messes with my diction when it just stops in the middle of a list without using and. It bothers me. Anyway, so the sons of Shelah, the son of Judah, were the father of Leka, La Ada, the father of Maresha, and the families of the linen workers who worked at Beth Ashabia. Joachim, the clans of Kozeba, Joash, Seraph, who was the ruler of Moab before he returned to Lehem. Period. These names all come from very ancient records. These clans were noted for their pottery, gardening, and planting. They all worked for the king. The sons of Simeon: Nemuel, Jamin, Jarib, Zerah, Shaul. Shaul's son was Shalom. His grandson was Mibsam, and his great-grandson was Mishma. Mishma's sons included Hamuel, the father of Zakar and the grandfather of Shimei. Shimei had 16 sons and 6 daughters. But none of his brothers had large families. They all had fewer children than was normal in Judah. They lived at Beersheba, Moladah, Hazar Shaul, Bilhah, Ezem, Tolad, Bethuel, Holma, Ziklag, Beth Makab, both Hazar Susim, Beth Biri, and Sha'arim. These cities were under their control until the time of David. Their descendants also lived in or near Etam, Ain, Rimmon, Tochen, and Ashan. Some were as far away as Baal. These facts are recorded in their genealogies. These are the names of some of the princes of the wealthy clans who traveled to the east side of Gedor Valley in search of pasture for their flocks. Meshobab, Jamlek, Josha, Joel, Jehu, Elioenai, Jacob, Akoba, Jesohaiah, Asahaya, Adiel, Jasimiel, Benaiah, Ziza, the son of Shiphi, son of Alon, son of Jedediah, son of Shimri, son of Shemaiah. Nailed it. They found good pastures, and everything was quiet and peaceful. But the land belonged to the descendants of Ham. So during the reign of King Hezekiah of Judah, these princes invaded the land and struck down the tents and houses of the descendants of Ham. They killed the inhabitants of the land and took possession of it for themselves. Later, 500 of these invaders from the tribe of Simeon went to Mount Seir. The leaders were Pelatiah, Neriah, Rephaiah, and Uzziel, all sons of Ishi. There they destroyed the few surviving members of the tribe of Amalek, and they have lived there ever since. The oldest son of Israel was Reuben, but since he dishonored his father by sleeping with one of his father's wives, his birthright was given to his half-brother Joseph. So the official genealogy doesn't name Reuben as the oldest son. I mean, there was more to the Joseph thing than just the sleeping. Because, I mean, it was a whole lot. You remember Joseph. Many colors, Egyptian famine, dreams, all the things. Doesn't matter. We're just doing a list. No need to tell that story again. So, although Joseph received the birthright, yet Judah was a powerful and influential tribe in Israel. From Judah came a prince. The sons of Reuben, Israel's son, were Hanok, Palu, Hezron, Carmi. Joel's descendants were his son Shemaiah, his grandson Gog, and his great-grandson Shimei. Shimei's son was Micah. His grandson was Reiah, and his great-grandson was Baal. In Israeli, naming their child Baal, it baffles the mind. But let us continue on. Baal's son was Beera. He was a prince of the tribe of Reuben and was taken into captivity by King Tilgath-Pileser of Assyria. His relatives became heads of clans and were included in the official genealogy. Jeiel, Zechariah, Bela, the son of Azaz, grandson of Shema, and great-grandson of Joel. These Reubenites lived in Aroer and as far as Mount Nebo at Baal Meon. Joel was a cattleman, and he pastured his animals eastward to the edge of the desert and to the Euphrates River, for there were many cattle in the land of Gilead. During the reign of King Saul, the men of Reuben defeated the Hagrites in war and moved into their tents on the eastern edge of Gilead. Across from them, in the land of Bashan, lived the descendants of Gad, who were spread as far as Selica. Joel was the greatest and was followed by Shapham, also Janai, and Shaphat. Their relatives, the heads of the 7 clans, were Michael, Meshulam, Sheba, Jorai, Jachan, Zia, and Eba. The descendants of Buz, in the order of their generations, were Jando, Jeshishai, Michael, Gilead, Jaroah, Huri, Abihail. Ahi, the son of Abdiel, the grandson of Guni, was the leader of the clan. The clan lived in and around Gilead, in the land of Bashan, and throughout the entire pasture country of Sharon. All were included in the official genealogy at the time of King Jotham of Judah and King Jeroboam of Israel. Oh, another list done. So, back we go to Acts chapter 25, verses 1 to 27. 3 days after Festus arrived in Caesarea to take over his new responsibilities, he left for Jerusalem, where the chief priests and other Jewish leaders got hold of him and gave him their story about Paul. They begged him to bring Paul to Jerusalem at once. Their plan was to waylay and kill him, but Festus replied that since Paul was at Caesarea and he himself was returning there soon, those with authority in his affair should return with him for the trial. 8 or 10 days later, he returned to Caesarea and the following day opened Paul's trial. On Paul's arrival in court, the Jews from Jerusalem gathered around, hurling many serious accusations which they couldn't prove. Paul denied these charges. I am not guilty, he said. I have not opposed the Jewish laws or desecrated the temple or rebelled against the Roman government. Then Festus, anxious to please the Jews, asked him, "Are you willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial before me?" But Paul replied, "No, I demand my privilege of a hearing before the emperor himself. You know very well I am not guilty. If I have done something wrong, if I have done something worthy of death, I don't refuse to die. But if I am innocent, neither you nor anyone else has a right to turn me over to these men to kill me. I appeal to Caesar." Festus conferred with his advisers and then replied, "Very well, you have appealed to Caesar, and to Caesar you shall go." A few days later, King Agrippa arrived with Bernice for a visit with Festus. During their stay of several days, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. "There is a prisoner here," he told him, "whose case was left for me by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the chief priests and other Jewish leaders gave me their side of the story and asked me to have him killed. Of course, I quickly pointed out to them that Roman law does not convict a man before he is tried. He is given an opportunity to defend himself face to face with his accusers. When they came here for the trial, I called the case the very next day and ordered Paul brought in, but the accusations made against him weren't at all what I supposed they would be. It was something about their religion and about someone called Jesus who died, but Paul insists he's alive. I was perplexed as to how to decide a case of this kind and asked him whether he would be willing to stand trial on these charges in Jerusalem. But Paul appealed to Caesar, so I ordered him back to jail until I could arrange to get him to the emperor. "I'd like to hear the man myself," Agrippa said. And Festus replied, "You shall, tomorrow." So the next day, after the king and Bernice had arrived at the courtroom with great pomp, accompanied by military officers and prominent men of the city, Festus ordered Paul brought in. Then Festus addressed the audience. "King Agrippa and all present," he said, "this is the man whose death is demanded both by the local Jews and by those in Jerusalem. But in my opinion, he has done nothing worthy of death. However, he appealed his case to Caesar, and I have no alternative but to send him. But what shall I write? The emperor, for there is no real charge against him. So I have brought him before you all, and especially you, King Agrippa, to examine him and then tell me what to write. For it doesn't seem reasonable to send a prisoner to the emperor without any charges against him." Now we move to Psalms chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. "O Lord, hear me pray. Listen to my plea. O God, my King, for I will never pray to anyone but you. Praying each morning, I will look to you in heaven and lay my request before you, praying earnestly. I know you get no pleasure from wickedness and cannot tolerate the slightest sin. Therefore, proud sinners will not survive your searching gaze, for how you hate their evil deeds. You will destroy them for their lies. How you abhor all murder and deception. As for me, I will come into your temple protected by your mercy and your love. I will worship you with deepest awe. Lord, lead me as you promised me you would. Otherwise, my enemies will conquer me. Tell me clearly what to do, which way to turn, for they cannot speak one truthful word. Their hearts are filled to the brim with wickedness. Their suggestions are full of the stench of sin and death. Their tongues are filled with flatteries to gain their wicked ends. O God, hold them responsible. Catch them in their own traps. Let them fall beneath the weight of their own transgressions, for they rebel against you. but make everyone rejoice who puts his trust in you. Keep them shouting for joy because you are defending them. Fill all who love you with happiness, your happiness, for you bless the godly man. O Lord, you protect him with your shield of love. And finally, we have Proverbs for today, chapter 18 and verse 19. It is harder to win back the friendship of an offended brother than to capture a fortified city. His anger shuts you out like iron bars. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed my recitation of these verses and also were edified by the Lord through them. And as always, most importantly, God bless you.